Hey guys, welcome back. It's Meg. Today we are taking a look at the changes for Mistweaver that were posted for 11.1. Just remember that this content isn't even on PTR yet at the making of this video, so as always, things are subject to change. This is the set of patch notes that we received. I did just want to quickly go over that paralysis now breaks based on a small amount of damage instead of any damage. This is a really minor change, but it will make things a little bit easier. If you're trying to CC something during combat, you may have a little bit more lenience with that. And with the dev note, they said that they are focused on smoothing out healing output on varying target amounts and shifting rotational damage prio to be more intuitive. This is essentially saying they want us to know when we should be using Blackout Kick versus Spinning Crane Kick versus Jade Empowerment without having 100 different caveats. And when it comes to smoothing out our healing output on varying target amounts, this is something that we've been talking a lot about lately, about buffing single target Chi or making Jade Empowerment split evenly, because we really struggle when we only have one enemy to hit. That is our main weak point, and we've been talking about that a ton lately. So this was one of my main concerns, it was about being super weak versus one enemy, but that's because we were designed to scale so hard off of multiple targets. So in this case, I'm particularly happy to see the Chi Gust of Mist change and the Jade Empowerment change. So it's not going to be as feast or famine when it comes to having too many targets or not having enough targets. It should be a little bit more rounded out across all target counts for Mistweaver when it comes to healing. Top to bottom on the changes on the tree, Chi-Ji's Gust of Mist will now proc 3 Gusts of Mist per cast of our triggering ability, which is Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, or Spinning Crane Kick, but it will only activate once per triggering cast. The subsequent Blackout Kicks from Teachings of the Monastery will still proc additional Gust of Mist, but this is not going to include the cleaving hits anymore, but those more often than not ended up as overhealing in most situations anyway. So this change is going to make Chi-Ji way more usable on single or low target counts. It's going to be much stronger outside of Chi Cocoons and Enveloping Breath pre-ramp from Enveloping Mist. This is a huge change and it impacts Chi-Ji a lot, so this is going to open the door for a lot of new Chi-Ji ramps that I'm sure Fox is cooking up in the kitchen. So once PTR is out, we'll have a better idea of how much the rotation for Chi-Ji has actually changed. Shaylin's gift has moved to the second tier in our tree and is now connected to Focus Thunder through a new connecting point. This really doesn't change anything in terms of what talents we're taking, it just looks a little bit different. The Jade Empowerment rework is the other highly impactful change that we receive along with the Chi-Ji stuff. So it has been buffed by quite a bit numerically, and it will still cleave just for less damage on the subsequent targets. My suggestion was to let it split evenly among targets, but this really fixes the same issue. Currently, Jade Empowerment is useless for healing on like 1 to 2 targets, but it's really strong on 4 or more. With the 11.1 change, we gain access to using Jade Empowerment for healing even on a single or 2 mob pull, while still getting a little benefit on multiple targets with that 25% effective cleave. Really excited to see this change. This is going to change the way that we handle a lot of bosses and other single target encounters, and this is going to really help Mistweaver feel a little bit less starved for single target hitting. Awakened Jadefire's Blackout Cleave portion has been knocked down to 20% from 70%, and this reads like a nerf, but remember that Blackout Kick damage got buffed baseline by 75%, and Spinning Crane Kick got buffed by 30%, and the Spinning Crane Kick portion of Awakened Jadefire did not get nerfed at all, so this is overall a net buff. They're just giving us the power in our base kit rather than a talent. This is also going to be an increase in our damage just because of the Blackout Kick. The buff is a little bit more than the transfer on the Awakened Jadefire was. We are also getting a new talent called Emperor's Favor. This is a choice node with Legacy of Wisdom all the way down at the bottom right of our tree. This makes Shaylin's gift heal 150% more, and it is an instant cast, but it does make it single target only. This is likely aimed at PvP situations, but if we ever see a situation in Raid, like Kel'Thas or Anduin, or in Mythic Plus situations like Chromie in Galakrond's Fall or Avatar of Sethraliss in Temple of Sethraliss, you may consider taking it in those situations if you can afford to give up the AoE healing that you get from Legacy for the entire dungeon. It is unlikely that we'd ever realistically be able to give up the AoE aspect, but it is something that we have at our disposal if we ever need it. Heading over to our class tree, Dance of the Wind is currently our dodge talent, but is being reworked into a physical damage reduction. It does say receiving a physical attack, and without PTR we don't know if this means a direct physical attack, like a melee, or some target ability, like the frontal on the first boss of Necrotic Wake, or the other current use cases for it, or if this is more along the lines of just a physical DR on any physical damage taken, even if it's not targeted. If it's the former, then effectively nothing changes, with the exception of not requiring the ability to be dodgeable to get value. If it is the latter, then this is just DR that could potentially prevent one-shots like Zav in Theater of His Pain, and his 30-second AoE leap that he does. Honestly, I don't think I have a preference on which way this one would work, but I am excited to see how it would end up functioning once we get PTR. Now, Feather Feet is actually a PvP talent, and in these videos I rarely, if ever, talk about PvP, but I did want to bring this up because it is a new wishlist item that I have. I would love it if Mistweaver in PvE had access to this cast while moving function, but I do understand that we are the greediest little goblins even asking for this because we have all the mobility in the world. Sorry, priests. I would really love to see Feather Feet become a choice node in the class tree with Lighter Than Air that would allow us to make a choice between the double jump or the casting while moving. Even with all of the changes that we've received to TG and Jade Empowerment, there is still some element of ramping that Mistweaver will have to do with Enveloping Mists in keys that are 15, 16, 17, or higher, and having to plant for those has definitely had its detriments, especially as a melee healer, and this would help alleviate some of that in Mythic Plus, but it would also make ramping in Raid much easier. This was a bit of a shorter video, but I will continue to do updates as we get into PTR and any new changes that we get for 11.1. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to hit me up in Discord while I'm live or in the comments.